So unmuting it. Share my screen. Books. Sorry, if you are not present, asking question, please mute your phone. I hope everybody can see my screen. Okay, so our topic of discussion today, first of all, okay, happy Friday. Thank you for joining and another session of Azure Power Lunch. Today, we're going to talk about Azure File Sync. And we are going to be discussing, as usual, we are going to go over some of the updates. And just to, this week there are a few updates which are kind of not big ones that we want to discuss. There is some updates to Azure Portal, and then there is, updates around the cognitive AI. Just keep in mind, maybe you want to bookmark these two sites. One is, this is the Azure blog, and this is the Azure update site, and where you can find out what's going on. Azure, as you know, is changing every day. There are new features added, update, enhancement, bug fixes. Okay. So this is a blurb about myself. If you don't know me, I have been with Microsoft for more than 14 years, and I'm working with Azure since its inception. So moving on with our topic of discussion, I'm pretty sure that most of you by now are aware of Azure Files, what Azure File does, and there are some enhancements that have been done to Azure Files since Ignite. Some were announced, some are in public preview now. For example, Azure Files is now available with premium storage. So if you want to take advantage of Azure Files with premium storage, you can use that. A number of customers demanded it. And also, Azure Files can support now bigger shares. I think it can go up to 500 terabyte from 5 terabyte to, so 500 terabyte from 5 terabyte. And there are IOPS have been bumped up as well. So they support higher IOPS now. So let's talk about Azure File Sync and why this is important. So a number of customers have file shares running on-prem. These file shares where company data is stored and all that information is stored, all of these things are running on-prem. And what happens is that they take space on premium hardware, disk hardware in your own data center. What Azure File Sync allows you to do is it allows you to create a share of those in the cloud, allow you to sync your share with that, and basically create a centralized data repository. Okay, and with that, you can save cost on-prem, and we will look at some other things such as data tiering and all those features that Azure File Sync provide. By the way, this is only for Windows servers, 2012 R2 and above. This is not for Linux server or Windows server which are older. Okay. So one other thing to keep in mind here is that there is very less management overhead involved. You have to go through a few steps, and after that, you will have your Azure File Sync going. What we're gonna do in this 30-minute session, we're gonna look at what is the architecture high level, and we're gonna do see how to set it up, and we will hopefully see a quick demo as well. Go ahead.
Sorry, we cannot see any presentation. Are you sharing? So I connected twice, but I cannot see any presentation.
Oh, let me see. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Sorry, yes. Guys. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So basically, there was no slides before. I mean, it was just an intro slide. This is the high level architecture of how I mean high level setup how this thing works. So you have file servers on-prem. You connect them to the cloud through our storage sync service to a file share, and that becomes your central repository. And as people are adding, updating files, they're all going back and forth into that repository. You can do cloud tiering. What cloud tiering means that you can say, just keep the 20% of the share on-prem, rest of it move into the cloud. They have only offline files there. If somebody clicks on that, those files will be downloaded. Okay. Next thing is they also have a capability where you can say any files which haven't been accessed for a month or 2 months or 3 months, move them into the cloud as well. And that's how you can save space on-prem and use cheaper storage space, take advantage of cheaper storage space in the cloud to save cost. Okay. And of course, once your data in the cloud in an Azure file share, what you can
Sorry,
do,
Navid.
yes, hello.
Your audio is not very good. I don't know if it's gonna be well for the recording, but it sounds really really bad. I don't know if you can try to go out and go back in.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, so is it like low volume or?
Sounds like your
It sounds
battery's
kind of like
dying.
robotic kind of audio.
Okay, okay. So here's the thing, guys. Let me just stop presenting. I'm gonna get out of the meeting and I'm gonna join back. Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So let me.
Glad somebody else said something. I thought it was just me.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me better now?
Much better.
Much better.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
So I think it's a bad connection. It was a bad connection, I think. Okay, so we are gonna start from where we left off. Hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so basically, you can access those files in the cloud. And the thing is, file share, Azure Files have a direct integration with backup. So you can back up those files. Okay, so now you are doing backup in the cloud. God forbid something happens on-prem, you have that data backed up in the cloud. And it works with multiple sites. So you have a site server in Seattle, one in New York. All of them can connect and you can create multiple shares. So let's say one is for financial services, one is for your marketing department, one for your dev teams. All of that you can create separately. And I already talked about backup. And the thing is, it's a very rapid DR. So let's say you lost one file server, it burned out. What you do is you set up another server, sync it back up, and it's going to start pulling those files down on-prem. Okay, so that's I mean that's the um, advantages of Azure File Sync, and I'm going to go over the steps, and then we will go over a quick demo of it. So first step, you have to create an Azure account and Azure file share. So what you do is you want to create an Azure account and a file share in it. Second thing, what you do is, so this is basically how you create an account, and we will look at the demo as well. Then what you do is you create a sync group. Okay, a sync group is like a grouping of a file share and respective servers. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to create a sync group and connect the Azure file share. Just keep in mind a single sync group can have one file share. Okay, so you attach a file share. So now that file share is gonna, work to store all the files that are related to. So this is basically a sync group. And with that sync group, you attach it to a file share. The next thing is you install a sync agent on your server. Once again, as I said, this is only supported for Windows Server 2012 R2 or above. There are some additional steps you have to do. Just installing sync server, sync agent will not work. You have to, and there's some guidelines, you have to install PowerShell as well, Azure PowerShell, Azure RM module. So you do that. And after that, your sync server will set up, and you will see that appear in your sync group. And then you can assign server endpoint to the sync group. And that's how you can connect the sync group, the server to that sync group. So now we have completed the relationship between file share and the on-prem server. With that, you are ready to go. You start putting in, um, putting in files on those locations, and it's gonna start syncing those files into the cloud. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see a quick demo of it. So let me second. I am on the wrong screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a create resource. I'm going to create a sync. First of all, I'm going to start with the storage account. Sorry. So we go in here, and I'm gonna go with an existing storage account just for the sake of it, sake of saving time. So this is an existing storage account. By the way, you have to create a V2 storage account for this, okay? And I'm gonna go into a file share, and I'm gonna call it demo file share. I'm gonna keep the quota. And by the way, just keep in mind the enhanced quota, the larger quota is not available in all region. So the region where I am in, that quota is not available. So you have, so I'm, that's why you see the quota still 5 terabyte. The larger quota is available in only in the preview region. So I'm gonna just say 500 GB. I'm gonna create it. It's gonna create the file share. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a sync all services sync okay, hold on a second. What happened? Done. Uh, hmm. So we have the storage sync, and I am storage sync services. What is going on? This is a sync group. I'm gonna go in here and add a new sync group. What is going on? You know, whenever you're doing the demo, things normally don't go as planned for some reason. Okay, sync group. So I'm gonna name it APL demo, and I'm gonna basically select a storage account. I'm gonna say this one is my storage account. It's gonna ask me a file share. I'm gonna pick a file share. So that's how I create a. This is how we create a storage sync. So this is now we have created a sync group. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I already have an existing sync group. So first of all, as you folks saw, create a storage account, create a file share, then create a this sync group. It's going to be under storage sync service and attach that file share to it. The only thing now we need to do with that is add some file servers. So what we can do is we can add server endpoints. So um, what we can do is these are two servers which are already attached to an existing endpoint, but I just want to show you this. If I enable this, these are the tiering option. Always preserve. So you can say always keep 20% space empty. So what it will do is it will start tiering files to the cloud. So 20% storage is available there, and only cache files that are accessed or modified with a specified. So you can specify number of days. 60 days, 90 days. Okay, so that's how you can control the tiering. So now I'm going to show you the experience that you have on the server side. So I have a server where I haven't installed the agent. So this is the server where so by the way, I have installed the agent, I've downloaded because it takes some time, and I've downloaded the PowerShell module. And after that, it's gonna say, oh, now you sign into your Azure account. So let's click on it. It's gonna ask me my user ID and password. Okay. Okay, and I have a multi-factor authentication set up. And with that, once it verifies, it's gonna register this agent, and it's gonna ask me some information of which sync service you wanna connect to, or which sync group you wanna connect to. So it's gonna ask me for the Azure subscription. This is my Azure subscription. And the next thing is gonna ask the resource group. Um, and I'm gonna pick the right, this is the resource group and sync service, and I'm gonna pick this storage sync service, and then I'm gonna register. And by the way, it asked me to sign in again, because just keep in mind, installation and this setup can be done by two different people. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna supply my user ID, and okay, and it's gonna ask me for the multi-factor auth one more time. Okay, and with that, it's gonna start syncing, or okay. So now I'm gonna go into the Azure portal here, and I am going to go in to this sync group, and I am gonna add that new server endpoint. That endpoint is there. This is the new registered server. And for the path of that server, I am going to pick up a path on this one. I think it's, okay, hold on a second. One second. Okay, I think there is something wrong here. It should, okay, in any case, I think I know the path. It's C and Z. Okay, with that, I'm gonna just pick everything as default. Let's say I'm gonna pick cloud tiering, enable, and I'm gonna say keep only 30% of the file, and make sure you leave 20% of the storage space free. With that, I'm gonna create it. It's gonna create the server endpoint, and it will provision it. It'll take a few minutes. In the meantime, I have, okay, so let's see what's happening. I think the sync is, okay, so I'm not sure why this is happening. We may have to troubleshoot, but in the meantime, I have this sync set up between these two servers. So these are both servers on-prem. I have the sync set up between these two. So I'm gonna go into this server test123, and I'm gonna make it lunch. I'm going to do this, and I am going to save this file. So as you can see, just look at the timestamp. It's 3:15:11:13, and with that, I am going to go to the other server, and you will see the timestamp change. And you see it just changed if I open it. So the sync is really, really fast. As soon as you make a change or update a file, that change is notified back to the sync that is running, and it notifies that change, it gets that change, store it the on that Azure file storage, and then it basically push that change down to all the servers. And that's how it makes everything in sync. And once again, once you are in Azure Files, you can create backup of those Azure files. You can create, Azure file storage and all that. So that's kind of a provide you ability to do tiering, backup, and you can it helps you save cost on prem because you can move all of the data into the cloud. One thing to keep in mind, certain antivirus software, they have a tendency sometime to kind of download a file when they are doing their antivirus activities, and if we mark them as offline files. So we only have the moniker there, all the data is in the cloud. So there are antivirus software which respect that, which don't download the file. So they will not cause any issue. But if your antivirus doesn't recognize that moniker, and it will your offline file doesn't respect that, then that may cause a problem. Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question for you, Naveed.
Please.
So, what about like file conflicts? If something's changed or something's in use, how does this handle that?
Conflict?
So, like, I'm familiar with FTPS and how if someone's changed a file on one side and the other side at the same time, DFS will put it in a special folder to have you review those conflicts. Does this have any similar functionality?
Yeah, it does have some type of what we call conflict resolution mechanism. I don't know much details about it, but yes, there is some conflict resolution mechanism that it uses for such scenario where like I am editing the file and you are editing the file, and if we both send our changes, which changes it will take. So
Okay.
yes, there is some conflict rules. I'm sorry, yeah, that's one thing. I should have known about, but no, I'm not. I think there is something, but I'm not aware of it.
No, that's fine. And another question: are the files directly accessible from Azure File, or do you have to connect to the? They are. Okay. Yeah. And does it maintain the same access control lists and such on there?
No, you can set up access control on Azure Files if you want, but it does not support the same access control. Okay,
so it
doesn't propagate
basically.
It doesn't propagate the access control list from the original file share.
No, because the thing is, you can set up access control on Azure File Share. then I mean the what we call the AD access control through AD domain services, and probably that's another topic to discuss another time. In that case, it may work, but otherwise, let's say if I go into the storage account and I go into the FS, you know, an NZFS demo, and if I look at files, so you know, that's my file share, and all those files are here. Just keep in mind, the idea is that you, the user, will deal with on-prem file share. This is only for admins, and they will just do backup and restore there. Nobody directly accesses the files from here. Okay, so that is the best practice. That, like, you do not access files directly from here. You access it from your file share as you do.
Okay, so it's more to offload file from on-prem and to perform backup easily.
Yeah, I mean, so you do backup from here. I mean, you can, you know, you can turn on backup and start doing backup from here, but that's the admin doing backup. That's not the users doing backup. Admin is doing backup every hour or every whatever that frequency is, but all the access is happening on-prem for the user, general user. You don't get general users to come here and access their file, never. Any questions? Confusion?
Hey, Naveed, are there any egress costs for file sync? Just curious.
Yes, yes. Anything that stores, so anytime you're downloading files, there would be a egress cost. So
Okay,
when you're pushing data into it, I mean, you know, just the same ingress egress rule applies. Ingress is free, egress you pay for it.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So just keep in mind, I mean, this is simple to set up, but limitations, it is only for Windows, only supports Windows 2012 R2 or above. So that's some, I won't call it a limitation. I mean, that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, I mean, play around with it. I will upload the deck as well as the, you know, as well as the, you know, presentation, and just give it a shot. Thank you, and hope to see you next week in another Power Lunch session, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.